Have Chelsea been brought back to reality following what's been a pretty disappointing week, losing both to Bayern Munich in the Champions League, as well as another defeat at Old Trafford? Today, I'm here to give you guys the 5 key takeaways from last night's disappointing performance against Manchester United. And to start with some of the positives in last night's game, Andrey Santos reminded Maresca why he needs to start some games now. He was an unlikely substitute due to the unexpected injury and taking off of Cole Palmer. That's another discussion for another day, but Andrey Santos showcased why many Chelsea fans felt like he should have started this game to begin with instead of being introduced as a substitute. And he definitely took full advantage of that cameo performance against Manchester United. This was a great showcase of what Andrey Santos can bring to Chelsea if he's entrusted with more minutes and more opportunities. Notice how every touch from Andrey is touch and go. He receives, he moves it, and he's quickly getting ready to get on the ball again by finding the optimum position to receive from. I like how he's thinking. I like how he's a step ahead. And we needed that because we needed to add some type of injection of pace to our game in some capacity based on how we kind of nullified ourselves by taking off all our key wide men in that game. Santos was right in contact. He was not afraid of the physical battle, and we can thank him for helping level the game by helping his experienced Brazilian teammate in Casemiro getting sent off to make the game 10v10. But Maresca also spoke about how Andrey Santos is being seen in a more favourable light when it comes to playing in the pivot. Now, that shouldn't surprise any of us. This guy was one of the best pivot players in Liga and last season, and he showcased that not only can he start the attacks, but he can get on the end of moves, as he got like double digits for goals and assists. That is really impressive. That's promising, and that tells you exactly that there's upsides to this kid's game. So use it. And one detail you noticed that as the game's going on was that Santos was entrusted with receiving from the centre-backs to help push us up the field, to help kickstart attacks for us. He played like 2 different roles in midfield, and he did both roles really well, in my opinion. So let's hope now that Santos does get more minutes. There shouldn't be minutes that only come when there's injuries to first-team players. A lot of us felt like Enzo Fernandez wasn't really needed in a game like yesterday. And the fact that Santos did 2 roles in midfield, better than what Enzo offered in that second half, tells you everything you need to know about this kid's potential and his qualities, right? So let's hope. So for me, it's a reminder that, listen, Maresca, you might not be happy that you're working with a younger squad compared to what you had last season. It's annoying. We can all relate. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't make the mistakes other managers have made and not entrust the quality of youth that you have in your possession right now. And I think Santos is one of the guys that defines this. But the second thing we learned is being a bad week for Enzo Maresca. But does that mean that we lose hope in him? Is it time for sack talks? Is it time to give up on him? I think if you're doing that, I think you're being maybe a bit too naive. I think you're being a bit too emotional. You're not being as critical right now. I think Maresca is allowed to make mistakes. I think we forget that he is still relatively new in this management game, and he's done so well so far. He will learn from mistakes like this, and he'll make sure he doesn't do it again. Against Bayern Munich, the approach was not the best because it felt like a lot of us didn't see us playing with that lack of respect against Bayern. We respected them a bit too much, and it hurt us once the game went away, and there was no reaction to steer that game back in our favour. Against Man United, there were small sneaking suspicions that maybe Maresca was set to maybe make that same mistake again by paying too much respect to Manchester United. Now, when we saw the lineup, it looked promising. Esteval, Neto, Cole Palmer. All right, we're going to go for it. But when the game started, we saw that Esteval was on the left side and Palmer was on the left as well. And I was thinking to myself, was the idea to have Neto doing a Hakimi against Dorgu? Is Dorgu Hakimi? It seemed like overkill, in my opinion. And having him pinned back by Esteval and Palmer could have made things happen. But maybe those early warning signs were there, because I think it was definitely defined by the key moment in last night's game, and that was the decision making by Enzo Maresca reacting to us going a man down. In my opinion, after seeing the game again, it was definitely an overreaction. 100% an overreaction. You didn't have to take off Neto. You didn't have to limit our attacking options out wide. But even if that was the case, that you wanted to protect the first half, the moment the game flipped when Casemiro got sent off and you're going into a new half, 10 man versus 10 man, immediately you should have smelled blood and you should have forced the occasion. And sadly, Maresca didn't do that. We all expected double Gs of Garnacho and Gittins to be on the field, but Maresca had different ideas, introducing George and Gusto instead. As Maresca said, the reason why we changed Neto and Esteval was because they attack with 5 players always and we defend with the 4. And we can defend with the 4 when we are 11 versus 11, but against 11, I think we need to defend on the width. So we decided to go with the 5. Okay, fair enough, that's for the first half, but how does this make sense for the second half when it's 10v10? As he says, Garnacho, as we all saw, was about to come on the field, but then Fofana had to be changed. So we decided to go for Tyreek instead, and the idea was to give Garnacho minutes. He's not even really ending this point with like a clear, definitive answer. I think he's been a bit defensive. Fair enough, he's human. I'm not angry about that. But the subs in the second half were baffling, considering we had 72% of that ball compared to Man United's 28%. They were on the ropes. They were there for the taking. Look at their form so far this season, the pressure on them. The fact that we did not do enough to put that pressure into overdrive against them was a massive missed opportunity. Bravery, winger threat. You're supporting Pedro. You're creating new varieties to play through Man United. It's a massive shame, and all I can hope for is that Maresca learns from this lesson. I'm still pro Maresca. Let's not forget everything that's happened recently. That doesn't mean niche just because of the last 2 games. But it is a reminder that you don't have to be overly positive and that we aren't as perfect yet as originally we thought we could be. For the third thing learned, should Reece James be back to right back shifts? Now, during the international break, when he played for Tuchel for England, we did see the old Reece James back. You were getting those familiar sentimental feelings of seeing him whipping him crosses down that right-hand side, seeing his dominance. He's a guy that can't be stopped when he has got momentum on his side, and no winger can get past him. Against Man United, due to the changes made in the team, Reece James was the only attacking threat the team could rely upon. And in the moment where the team needed him, Reece James stood up and announced himself. He rightfully got an assist to Chalobah, superb delivery, and he tested Man United with a handful of world-class whip, custom Reece James crosses that we've been missing out on for so long. And it's brought back that question. Should Reece James be getting minutes at right back again? Now, Maresca may feel like I can't use him there all the time. Fair enough. But in the big games, the big moments, does the team not get a bit more with Reece James on the right? Even against smaller teams that are parking the bus, having Reece James's deliveries out wide could help unlock something new in the team, right? Especially when you have guys like Joao Pedro and co attacking these crosses. James made 2 key passes and he created 1 big chance as well. And you think that if he was supported with another winger and someone else down the left, maybe we're taking even more from the deliveries from Reece James. But I guess for me, the big test that I was hoping for was to see if Reece James ended the game. And he did that. I won't lie to you. I was kind of panicking a little bit because it's like unfamiliar territory seeing Reece James back in his OG position. But the fact that he completed the full 90, I think that's a really promising sign about the current fitness levels of Reece James right now, because listen, touching wood, I was getting scared, bro, that maybe the hammies might be acting up again. But it does seem like now that he's been conditioned with games over an extended period of time, could Reece James be back now? And should he be back to doing right back shifts? Where do you fall on this? Comment below, my guys. Are Chelsea still paying the price for that VAR decision against Fulham? There was national outcry in that moment. Fulham, they definitely fed towards that narrative as they gave their goal of the month to a goal that was disallowed. I've never seen it in my life before. It's mad. One thing I know in this country is that when there's a narrative, a lot of times people are quick to buy into that. And in the last 2 games, we've seen decisions in controversial fashion go against us. It happened against Brentford's. It's still very debatable as to whether Brentford's equaliser should have been ruled offside. And we saw 2 moments against Man United yesterday. The first one came with Man United's ability to make it 1-0. And the controversy comes from where exactly the onside call is made. Because you're seeing on screen right now an image of Chalobah in real time in the game, and then a photo of the VAR call. And if you look at the details, you notice that Chalobah's foot position and placement is completely different in both photos. On the left, flat foot. On the right, his foot's up. And that drastically changes how you kind of examine this moment. Now, the VAR team said that Bruno was onside due to the placement of his armpit. There's a rule now that says that obviously if the armpit, of course, is onside, then of course the offside decision can remain. But for me, it gets a bit weird now because not every player is the same size as Bruno. Like, when does it count? When does it not count? I don't know, man. And another weird one was that Sechko was offside in that moment, right? You're seeing it on screen. Is he not clearly interfering with Chalobah in that moment? Does that not rule out everything as being offside because of that? The decision making in this country sometimes, I wish it was just clear. Maybe I've got it wrong. I'm not an expert. If you guys have the answers, get involved. Let's have this conversation right now. But obviously for the second contentious decision as well, it goes down to João Pedro. For me, it looked like he was fouled inside the box. That's because, and look at the frame, look at the video. Look at the contact of Mazwari's knee. That initiates the foul. That initiates the foul. That looks like a clear-cut one. You're going through your man to get the ball. That doesn't look like a clear-cut one, in my opinion. For me, it looks like Pedro just pushed that ball away past Mazwari. And it looks like a foul, in my opinion, from this angle I'm seeing things from. And for the final thing learned, Chalobah was distraught. Now, one player who will take personal responsibility for the scoreline yesterday is going to be Chalobah. From his post-match interviews, he looked distraught. You could tell he was hurt, and he felt this, and he felt like he had let down his team. And, you know, after playing a hand in the opening goal, losing the header out to Sechko, and also being in the spotlight for Man United's controversial opening goal against us, Chalobah's not going to be pleased with how he played his part in the team. As I said, Chalobah will feel like he personally put Chelsea at a disadvantage. But for myself, I also feel like his teammates also had moments to control the situation. Similar to Reece James, whose initial loose ball for the second goal created the danger. Moments were there to control things with Jorgensen, Tosin and others. And I think it's the same energy for Chalobah in the opening goal, because I think Moises, Fofana, and especially Robert Sanchez could have all done a bit better in the moment to control the proceedings. But one thing with Chalobah that I really value in him, and I first noticed this when Thomas Tuchel gave him his debut, is that, yes, he'll make that mistake sometimes. It can happen. But he never lets a mistake define him. Instead of reverting in himself, shying away and feeling sorry for himself, he wants to actively save the situation. And I think that was in full effect, especially in the second half, where he was basically our one-man defensive army, nullifying any type of potential Man United threat. He won the most aerials, surprisingly, with 4. He won the most ground duels. He was effervescent. He was present everywhere. Any dangerous United counter-attack, Chalobah was putting in crucial last-ditch tackles. On the ball, he was playing switch balls for fun to find Reece James. He was pushing us up the field with his passes, and he played the important part in getting a goal that gave us a bit of life and hope that possibly there's time to turn things round. It's a good quality about him. He'll be hurting, but I feel that he should keep his head up, get ready for the next week, and I think he should feel good about himself for how he ended the game compared to how he started. So they're the 5 things learned against Man United. Let us know what you learned below. Get involved in this conversation, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow with more uploads. Love. Cool.